The shuttle screamed through the purple sky of Krios 7. Inside, warning lights flashed red across every panel. Jinwoo gripped his seat as the metal frame shook violently. Beside him, Hana pressed her hands against the wall, her face calm despite the chaos. "Magnetic storm interference at 90%, announced Kryn, the insectoid navigator. His 6 legs clicked nervously against the floor. "We are going down." Velthar, the reptilian captain, hissed orders from his command chair. His scales were bright green, a color that meant confidence in his species. "Deploy emergency protocols. We will land safely." But the shuttle did not agree. It spun once, twice, then slammed into the ice with a terrible grinding sound. Metal tore. Glass shattered. The impact threw everyone forward against their restraints. Then silence. Jinwoo opened his eyes. His head hurt, but everything still worked. He unbuckled his harness and stood on shaky legs. "Hana, you okay?" "I am fine," she said, already checking the emergency kit under her seat. Minor cuts only. Around them, the other crew members were waking up. Thoros, the large bear-like Gorvan, groaned and pushed himself upright. His thick fur was covered in frost already. Kryn struggled with his damaged restraints until his legs were free. Velthar climbed down from his chair, moving carefully. "Status report," Velthar demanded. His tongue flicked out, tasting the cold air. "Why is it so cold?" Jinwoo checked the nearest control panel. Most systems were dead, but he got basic readings. "The heating system is destroyed. And Captain, we have a bigger problem." "What problem?" "The outside temperature is minus 80 degrees Celsius. And it is getting colder." Kryn's antennae drooped. "That is not possible. This planet was marked as cold but habitable." Hana pulled out a portable scanner. She studied the readings, her expression growing serious. "It is possible. We crashed during the beginning of a polar night cycle. The temperature will keep dropping for at least 6 days. 6 days? Thoros rumbled. The rescue beacon will bring help long before that. Jinwoo looked at the communications array. Sparks still jumped from broken wires. The beacon is not working. The magnetic storm damaged everything. Even if we fix it, the storm will block signals for days. Velthar drew himself up tall. In Velkarian culture, a captain never showed fear. Then we wait here. We survived the crash. We will survive the cold. My species has endured worse. Captain, Hana said quietly. What is the coldest temperature your species can survive? Velthar's scales rippled with irritation. Velkarians function well down to minus 20 degrees. Below that, we become slow, but we survive. It is already minus 80, Jinwoo said, and dropping. Then we will stay inside the shuttle. We will use emergency blankets and share body heat. Jinwoo exchanged a look with Hana. She gave a small shake of her head. He understood. The aliens did not realize how dangerous this was. Their species had never evolved on a world with true winter. They did not understand what cold could do. Captain, Jinwoo said, the shuttle hull is cracked. Heat is escaping. In 2 hours inside will be as cold as outside. Then we will adapt, Velthar snapped. We are space explorers. We have faced many dangers. Jinwoo wanted to argue, but Hana touched his arm. Let us scout around, she suggested. We can look for anything useful. They put on their environmental suits and stepped outside. The cold hit them immediately, even through the insulation. Jinwoo's breath formed clouds of ice crystals. The ground was white ice stretching forever. Above them the sun was setting, a pale disk that gave no warmth. Look there, Hana pointed. In the distance, dark shapes rose from the ice. Cliffs, probably caves. How far? Maybe 2 kilometers. Jinwoo studied the crash site. Pieces of the shuttle lay scattered across the ice. Power cells, metal panels, insulation foam. We need to move them. Move who? The aliens. To the caves. And we need to bring everything useful from the shuttle. Hana nodded slowly. They will not want to go. Velthar thinks staying here is safer. Velthar does not understand cold. Jinwoo looked back at the shuttle. Through the cracked windows, he could see Thoros already shivering. His species evolved on a hot swamp world. Kryn's people come from a temperate forest planet. None of them have seen real winter. But we have, Hana said softly. Yes, we have. They returned to the shuttle. Inside, the temperature had already dropped to minus 40. Ice was forming on the walls. Kryn moved very slowly now, his exoskeleton making cracking sounds. Thoros had wrapped himself in 3 emergency blankets, but his teeth still chattered. Captain, Jinwoo said, we found caves. We need to move there now. No, Velthar said. His voice was slower than before. We stay with the shuttle. It is standard protocol. Rescue teams will look here first. There will be no rescue team for days. You will freeze before then. You underestimate us, human. Belthar tried to stand tall, but his legs wobbled. We are stronger than you think. Jinwoo felt frustration building. This is not about strength. This is about physics. Your body cannot create enough heat in this cold. You will die. Enough! Velthar's voice was sharp. I am the captain. We stay here. That is an order. Hana caught Jinwoo's eye and tilted her head toward the exit. They went outside again. He will not listen, Jinwoo said angrily. They think because they can travel between stars they can survive anything. They have never needed to survive weather, Hana said. Their worlds are controlled. Their ships are controlled. They do not understand nature anymore. What do we do? Hana was quiet for a moment, watching the sun disappear below the horizon. We prepare the cave ourselves. We gather what we can carry. When they are too weak to argue, we move them. That might be too late. Then we work fast. They began immediately. Jinwoo pried loose metal panels from the shuttle hull. Hana collected power cells and wiring. They worked quickly, their breath freezing in the air. Their fingers grew numb even inside gloves. Behind them, through the shuttle windows, the aliens huddled together. They did not understand yet. They still thought their technology and civilization made them superior to the forces of nature, but Jinwoo and Hana knew better. They had grown up on Earth, a world that tried to kill everything living on it. They knew cold. They knew ice. They knew that when nature wanted you dead, your only choice was to be smarter and work harder. The temperature dropped to -95 degrees. Inside the shuttle, Thoros collapsed. His breathing was shallow. Kryn had stopped moving entirely, his body entering a protective hibernation state that might become permanent. Belthar stared at his crew with growing horror. His scales had turned from green to a dull gray. His movements were sluggish, his thoughts slow. Through the cracked window, he watched the two humans carrying heavy loads across the ice toward the distant cliffs. They moved steadily, purposefully. They did not seem to struggle the way he did. For the first time, Belthar realized that perhaps these humans understood something his species had forgotten. Perhaps the primitive world they came from had taught them lessons that spacefaring civilizations never learned. Perhaps he should have listened. The night came fast on Creo 7. One moment there was dim light, the next moment complete darkness. The temperature dropped to -100 degrees. Jinwoo tied the last piece of insulation foam to the makeshift sled he had built from shuttle panels. His fingers barely worked anymore, even inside his gloves. Beside him, Hana secured a power cell with torn safety straps. That is the third load, she said, her voice muffled by her suit's heating mask. We need to go back for them now. They still will not want to come. They will not have a choice anymore. They pulled the sled across the ice toward the shuttle. The magnetic storm still raged overhead, filling the sky with purple and green lights. Beautiful, Jinwoo thought, but deadly. The same electromagnetic energy that created the light show was preventing any rescue signals from getting through. When they reached the shuttle, Jinwoo pulled open the damaged door. The cold inside hit him like a wall. Everything was covered in white frost. In the corner, Thoros lay motionless under a pile of emergency blankets. Only the shallow rise of his chest showed he still lived. Kryn had curled into a ball, his insect body completely still. Ice crystals had formed on his exoskeleton, making him look like a statue. Belthar sat against the wall, his eyes half closed. His scales were now completely gray. When Jinwoo approached, the captain looked up slowly. Human, he whispered. I may have made an error in judgment. You think so? Jinwoo knelt beside him. Can you stand? My legs do not work well. Then I will carry you. Belthar's pride wanted to refuse, but his survival instinct was stronger. He nodded weakly. Hana was already checking Thoros. He is alive, but in hypothermic shock. We need to move him immediately. What about Kryn? She touched the insectoid's frozen shell gently. He is in deep hibernation. His species does this to survive extreme conditions, but if his core temperature drops too low, he will not wake up. Jinwoo looked at the three aliens, then at Hana. We cannot carry them all at once. We make 2 trips. We take Thoros first because he is dying fastest. Then we come back for the others. It was not a good plan, but it was the only plan. Jinwoo lifted Thoros onto the sled. The Gorvan was heavy, at least twice Jinwoo's weight. Hana helped Belthar climb on beside him. We will return for you soon, Hana told Kryn's frozen form. She did not know if he could hear, but she said it anyway. The journey to the caves was difficult. The sled caught on ice ridges. The wind tried to push them backward. Jinwoo's legs burned with effort. Hana pulled beside him, her face set with determination. Velthar watched them struggle. His mind was slow from the cold, but thoughts still formed. These humans were smaller than him, weaker in terms of raw strength. Yet they moved through conditions that had completely disabled him. How? They reached the cave entrance after what felt like hours. Jinwoo had already prepared a space inside during earlier trips. Metal panels formed walls. Insulation foam covered the floor. In the center sat a makeshift heater he had built from parts of the shuttle's emergency power system. "Help me get them inside," Jinwoo said. They dragged Thoros and Velthar into the cave. Jinwoo activated the heater. It hummed to life and warm air began to flow. "It is not much," he said. "Maybe minus 20 degrees, but better than outside." Velthar felt the warmth touch his scales. It was like being reborn. His thoughts cleared slightly. His limbs started to respond again. "You built this," he said. "While I refused to move." "Yes, why? You could have saved yourselves and left us." Hana looked at him with surprise. "That is not what humans do." Before Velthar could respond, Jinwoo was already moving toward the cave entrance. "We need to get Kryn. Hana, stay here and watch them. Make sure Thoros does not go into shock when his body temperature rises. Be careful." Jinwoo ran back across the ice alone. His legs protested, but he pushed harder. Kryn was still alive, and Jinwoo intended to keep him that way. Inside the shuttle, Kryn had not moved. Jinwoo lifted the insectoid carefully. The chitin shell was so cold it burned to touch even through gloves. Jinwoo wrapped him in an emergency blanket and carried him outside. The return trip was slower. Kryn was not as heavy as Thoros, but Jinwoo's strength was fading. His muscles screamed. His lungs burned from breathing frozen air. But he kept walking, one foot in front of the other. Just keep moving. He thought about Earth, about the winters in the mountains where he grew up. His grandfather had taught him that cold was just another challenge. You respected it, you prepared for it, but you never let it defeat you. Humans are stubborn, his grandfather used to say. When nature says stop, we say not yet. Jinwoo reached the cave and collapsed just inside the entrance. Hana rushed over, helping him set Kryn down near the heater. "You did it," she said, "barely." He lay on the ground, breathing hard. "How are they?" "Thoros is stable. His core temperature is rising. Velthar is recovering. He can move his arms now." "Good." Velthar watched the two humans with new eyes. Hana immediately checked Kryn's condition, monitoring his shell temperature with a medical scanner. Jinwoo forced himself to stand and began adjusting the heater to produce more warmth. They did not rest. They did not celebrate. They simply kept working. "I do not understand," Velthar said. "Your species. You are not stronger than us. Your technology is less advanced. Yet you function when we fail." Jinwoo looked at him while adjusting a heating vent. "Our planet made us this way." "What do you mean?" Hana answered while treating Thoros' frostbite. "Earth has many climates. Deserts where the heat kills, jungles where the humidity drowns you, mountains where the air is too thin to breathe, and winters where the cold freezes everything. Our ancestors had no choice," Jinwoo continued. "They could not leave Earth. They had no ships, no advanced technology. So they learned to survive. They adapted to every environment Earth threw at them. We evolved on comfortable worlds," Velthar said slowly, understanding dawning. "Worlds we could control easily. We never needed to become as flexible as you." "Maybe," Jinwoo said. "Or maybe you forgot how. You have been living in climate-controlled ships and domed cities for so long, you forgot what weather feels like." Outside, the storm intensified. The wind howled like a living thing. The temperature dropped to minus 110 degrees. But inside the cave, the heater hummed steadily. The temperature held at minus 15 degrees. "But survivable." Thoros woke up first. His eyes opened slowly, confused. "Where am I?" "Safe," Hana said gently. "Rest now." Kryn took longer. His body needed to slowly warm before it could exit hibernation. Hana monitored him carefully, adjusting his position near the heater. Velthar sat up, his strength gradually returning. He looked around the cave at everything the humans had built. The walls that blocked wind, the insulation that trapped heat, the heater that made life possible. You built all this in a few hours, he said, while we sat in the shuttle waiting to die. We had motivation, Jinwoo said simply. I gave you orders not to leave. I know. You disobeyed your captain. Jinwoo met his eyes. I chose to save my crew instead. Velthar was quiet for a long moment. In his culture, disobeying orders was a serious offense. But so was letting your crew die from pride and stupidity. Perhaps, he said finally, humans understand some things better than we do. Hana smiled slightly. Perhaps we all have things to teach each other. Outside, the frozen inferno of Creo 7's polar night continued its assault. The temperature kept dropping. The storm kept raging. But inside the cave, 5 beings from different worlds huddled around a makeshift heater built by human hands. And for now, they were alive. Morning came, but no one could tell. The polar night meant darkness for days. Only the chronometer on Hana's scanner showed that 10 hours had passed. The temperature outside had reached -120 degrees. Inside the cave, the makeshift heater struggled to maintain -10 degrees. Jinwoo sat against the cave wall, studying the power cell readouts on his portable monitor. The numbers were not good. They had used 30% of their energy reserves already. At this rate, the heater would die in 2 days. Hana noticed his frown. Problem? We need more power, or we need the heater to work more efficiently. He rubbed his face tiredly. Maybe both. Velthar had been listening. His strength had mostly returned in the warmer environment. What do you need? The damaged reactor core from the shuttle. If I can stabilize it, we can generate much more heat. That core is unstable. Radiation leaking. Very dangerous. Jinwoo smiled without humor. More dangerous than freezing to death? Fair point, Velthar admitted. Thoros groaned from his resting spot. The Gorvan had woken several times during the night, each time confused and weak. Hana had been treating his frostbite, but his thick fur had suffered serious damage from ice crystal formation. Parts of his skin showed signs of freezer burn. Kryn remained in hibernation. His body temperature had risen enough to keep him alive, but not enough to wake him. Hana checked his readings regularly, worried. I will go with you, Velthar said to Jinwoo. To get the reactor core. You sure? It is very cold out there. I am aware. Velthar stood, his legs still a bit shaky. But you saved my life. Honor demands I help save others. Jinwoo nodded. He understood honor. Hana, keep the heater running. We will be back soon. They suited up and went outside. The cold attacked them immediately, savage and hungry. Velthar gasped, his breath freezing in clouds. How can you stand this? He asked. Practice, Jinwoo said. And stubbornness. Come on. They walked toward the shuttle wreckage. The magnetic storm had weakened slightly, but lightning still jumped between ice formations. The purple sky cast strange shadows across the frozen landscape. Your world, Velthar said as they walked. Earth. Tell me about it. Why? I want to understand. How did your people survive to reach space? Jinwoo was quiet for a moment, remembering. Earth is beautiful but cruel. We have places so hot that water boils on rocks. Places so cold that breathing can freeze your lungs. Storms that tear apart buildings. Earthquakes that swallow cities. That sounds terrible. It is home. And it made us tough. Every generation learned to survive a little better. We built shelters against the cold. We found ways to create fire and heat. We adapted or we died. My people never faced such challenges, Velthar said quietly. Our world was stable, warm, safe. We evolved to be good traders and diplomats, not survivors. Different environments need different skills. They reached the shuttle. The reactor core sat in the back compartment, now exposed to the air. Warning symbols flashed on its casing. Jinwoo pulled out a radiation scanner. Leaking, but not critical yet, he said. We can move it if we are careful. They worked together to disconnect the core from its housing. Velthar's hands were clumsy from the cold, but he tried his best. Jinwoo showed him which cables to cut, which seals to break. You know much about reactor systems, Velthar observed. I had to. On Earth, if your heating system breaks in winter, you cannot wait for a repair crew. You fix it yourself, or you freeze. We always had repair crews. That is why you did not know what to do when they were not available. It took an hour to free the reactor core and secure it to a new sled. By the time they finished, both were shaking from the cold. Velthar's scales had turned gray again. We need to move fast, Jinwoo said. You are getting too cold. The journey back was difficult. The reactor core was heavy and awkward. Velthar stumbled several times, his body struggling to function in the extreme cold. Jinwoo kept urging him forward. Almost there. Keep moving, do not stop. They reached the cave entrance and Hana helped pull them inside. Velthar collapsed near the heater, his body shaking violently. Stupid, Hana scolded. You pushed too hard. I am alive, Velthar managed to say. That is what matters. Jinwoo was already examining the reactor core. His fingers moved quickly despite the cold, checking connections, testing power flow. Hana brought him tools from the medical kit, whatever might work. Can you fix it? She asked. I can make it work. Maybe not safely, but it will generate heat. He worked for hours. Velthar watched from his resting spot, fascinated. Jinwoo did not have proper tools. He used pieces of wire, damaged circuits, even strips of metal torn from the shuttle hull. He improvised constantly, making things work that should not work. Where did you learn this? Velthar asked. Everywhere, Jinwoo said, not looking up from his work. School, yes, but mostly from fixing broken things. On Earth, we cannot afford to throw away everything that breaks. We repair, we rebuild, we make do. We simply buy new things when something breaks. Must be nice, Jinwoo said. Then he smiled. But maybe not as useful in situations like this. Finally, after 6 hours of work, Jinwoo stepped back. Done, I think. Everyone moved back. He activated the modified reactor core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it hummed to life. A deep, powerful sound. Heat began to pour out. Real heat. Strong and steady. The temperature in the cave started to rise. -10 degrees, -5, 0, +5 degrees. Thoros sat up, his eyes wide. I feel warm. Actually warm. Velthar stood and walked to the heater. He held his hands near it, feeling genuine warmth for the first time since the crash. Incredible. Krin's body began to respond to the increased temperature. His legs twitched. His antennae moved slightly. Hana checked his readings. He is coming out of hibernation. Over the next hour, Krin slowly woke up. His compound eyes opened, unfocused at first. Then awareness returned. Where am I? He clicked. Safe, Hana said. The humans built us a shelter. Krin looked around the cave, seeing it for the first time. His antennae moved constantly, processing information. He saw the metal walls, the insulation, the glowing reactor core that filled the space with warmth. You did this? He asked Jinwoo. We all helped, Jinwoo said. No, Krin insisted. His species valued truth above politeness. You and the other human did this. We would have died without you. Velthar nodded slowly. He speaks the truth. We underestimated you, Jinwoo. We thought humans were weak because your technology is less advanced. We did not understand that you have other strengths. Like what? Thoros asked. His voice was still weak. Adaptability, Hana said. Humans can survive almost anywhere. Hot, cold, wet, dry. We learn quickly. We improvise. We make tools from whatever is available. Why? Krin asked. Why did your species develop this way? Jinwoo sat down, tired from his work. Because Earth gave us no choice. Other species evolved on stable worlds. Your environments were predictable. But Earth is chaos. Ice ages come and go. Volcanoes erupt. Continents move. The weather changes constantly. Our ancestors could not adapt their environment to suit them, Hana continued. So they adapted themselves to suit any environment. That ability is in our blood now, in our thinking. Velthar looked at the reactor core still humming steadily. You built this from broken parts. No proper tools. No instruction manual. Just your knowledge and determination. Yes. On my world, if something breaks, we call a specialist. We would never attempt repairs ourselves. Then you are lucky you crashed with humans, Jinwoo said with a slight smile. Outside, the storm continued. The temperature dropped to -130 degrees. The wind screamed across the ice like a hunting beast, but inside the cave the reactor core filled the space with warmth. The temperature held steady at 10 degrees Celsius. Comfortable. Safe. Alive. The aliens looked at the two humans with new respect. These small beings from a violent world had done what seemed impossible. They had created summer in the middle of a frozen hell, and they had done it to save people who were not even their own species. Thank you, Velthar said quietly. For our lives. Jinwoo shrugged. That is what we do. We survive. And we help others survive too. Why? Because that is what being human means. The chronometer showed 3 days had passed since the crash. Outside, the temperature had stabilized at -135 degrees. The storm still raged, blocking all communication signals. Inside the cave, life had developed a rhythm. Jinwoo maintained the reactor core, adjusting its output throughout the day. Hana treated injuries and monitored everyone's health. The aliens, now recovered enough to help, took turns organizing supplies and keeping watch. But on the morning of the 4th day, Hana noticed something wrong with Kryn. The insectoid sat away from the others, his body trembling. His exoskeleton had a strange dull color. Hana approached carefully. Kryn, are you okay? Cold, he clicked weakly. Still so cold, Hana checked the temperature. It was 12 degrees Celsius. Warm enough for everyone else. She put her hand near Kryn's shell and realized the problem. His body was not retaining heat. Jinwoo, she called. I need you. Jinwoo came over and examined Kryn. His face grew serious. His exoskeleton was damaged by ice crystals during the deep freeze. It is not insulating properly anymore. He is losing heat faster than his body can produce it. Can we fix it? Velthar asked, concerned. We can try. Jinwoo thought for a moment. We need to create a warmer microenvironment just for him. A hotbox? What is a hotbox? Thoros asked. A small heated space, like a personal heater room. They worked together to build it. Jinwoo rigged heat channels from the main reactor core. Velthar helped bend metal panels into walls. Thoros used his strength to position heavy insulation blocks. Hana lined the inside with emergency blankets. Within a few hours, they had created a small room within the cave. Jinwoo adjusted the heat flow to make it much warmer inside. 30 degrees Celsius. Try this, he told Kryn. The insectoid crawled into the hot box. Within minutes, his trembling stopped. His color began to return to normal. Better, he clicked gratefully. Much better. Thank you. Velthar sat back, watching the humans. You solved another impossible problem. Not impossible, Hana said. Just difficult. There is always a solution if you think creatively. We would not have thought of this, Velthar admitted. If Kryn was suffering, we would have simply increased heat for everyone. We would not have thought to create a separate warm space. Efficiency, Jinwoo explained. On Earth, energy is precious. We cannot waste it. So we learned to heat only what needs heating. Insulate what needs insulating. Use resources carefully. That night, as the others slept, Velthar stayed awake with Jinwoo, who was on watch duty. The reactor core hummed softly in the background. Tell me more about Earth, Velthar said. About human history. Jinwoo was surprised. Why? Because I want to understand. My people judge others by their technology level. We thought humans were primitive. But I see now that we were wrong. You have something we lost. What is that? The ability to survive without technology. Jinwoo fed another piece of fuel into the reactor. We almost did not survive. Many times in our history we came close to extinction. Ice ages killed millions. Diseases wiped out entire populations. Droughts destroyed civilizations, but you survived. Yes, because we are stubborn. Because we adapt. Because we never give up. He smiled slightly. My grandmother used to say that humans are like weeds. Cut us down, we grow back. Burn us, we spread our seeds. Try to kill us, we only get stronger. Your grandmother sounds wise. She survived a terrible winter when she was young. Food ran out. Heat ran out. Her whole village should have died. But they did not. They ate bark from trees. They burned furniture for warmth. They huddled together and told stories to keep spirits up, and they survived until spring came. What happened to that village? Still there. I grew up in it. We built a memorial for that winter. Never forget, it says. Never give up. Velthar was quiet for a long time. My people have no such memorials. We have never faced such challenges. Maybe that is okay, Jinwoo said. Not every species needs to suffer to be valuable. But when crisis comes, we are helpless, like here. Without you, we would all be dead. And without you, we would not have been exploring space. Every species brings something different. That is the point of cooperation. On the 5th day, new problems arose. The water supply was running low. They had been melting ice for drinking water, but the process used energy they could not spare. Hana studied the problem. We need a passive system, something that melts ice without using reactor power. How? Thoros asked. She thought back to her childhood in the Korean mountains. Her father had shown her an old technique. We use body heat and insulation. She arranged a system using containers, insulation layers, and their own body warmth. Ice placed in insulated containers would slowly melt from the ambient cave temperature and their presence. It was slow, but it worked without using precious reactor energy. Kryn watched from his hotbox. Humans think differently than we do. We look for technological solutions. You look for natural solutions. We use both, Hana said. Whatever works best for the situation. That evening, they sat together sharing food rations. They had been strangers when they crashed. Different species with different cultures. But now, facing survival together, bonds had formed. I misjudged humans badly, Velthar said. I thought your lack of advanced technology meant you were inferior. Many species think that, Jinwoo said without anger. We are used to it, but you never corrected us. Never boasted about your abilities. What would be the point? Actions speak louder than words. Better to show what we can do than tell people about it. Thoros laughed, his deep voice rumbling through the cave. You certainly showed us. I was dying in the shuttle, refusing to move because I thought the captain's plan was correct. You dragged me to safety even though I probably weighed twice as much as you. 1.5 times, Jinwoo corrected with a smile. I measured. They all laughed at that. Even Kryn made a clicking sound that was the Krillian equivalent of laughter. But then Hana grew serious. We are not safe yet. The storm should break tomorrow or the next day, but we have used 70% of our power reserves. If rescue is delayed, we might not have enough energy to keep warm until they arrive. Can we reduce power consumption? Velthar asked. Not without making it too cold for you, Jinwoo said. Humans can tolerate lower temperatures, but you need at least 8 degrees to function. That requires minimum power levels. Then we hope rescue comes quickly, Thoros said. Hope is good, Hana said. But we also prepare. Jinwoo, we should scout for anything else we can use as fuel. Tomorrow, he agreed. When we have daylight, he paused. Well, when the chronometer says it is day, still going to be dark outside. That night, the storm's intensity increased. They heard ice cracking outside, massive sheets breaking and reforming. The temperature dropped to minus 140 degrees, the coldest yet. The cave walls groaned under the pressure. Everyone watched nervously. Will the cave hold? Kryn asked from his hotbox. It has held this long, Jinwoo said, but he was checking the metal panel walls he had built. Some were bending under the pressure. I will help reinforce them, Velthar offered. They worked together, adding supports, redistributing weight, strengthening weak points. The others helped where they could. Even Kryn, from his heated shelter, offered suggestions based on his species' knowledge of structural engineering. They worked through the night. Not because they had to, but because they had learned something important over the past days. They were no longer just individuals trying to survive. They were a crew, a team, a family forged in ice and adversity. When morning came, according to the chronometer, the cave still stood. The reinforcements had held. Everyone was exhausted but alive. Jinwoo checked the power reserves. 50% left. Maybe 3 more days of heat if we are lucky. The rescue beacon should work once the storm clears, Hana said. They will find us. And if they do not come in time? Thoros asked quietly. Jinwoo met his eyes. Then we keep surviving. That is what humans do. And you have learned from us. You are stronger now than you were 4 days ago. Because of you, Velthar said. Because we worked together, Jinwoo corrected. You helped build Kryn's hotbox. You reinforced the walls. You did not give up. That is not just human. That is the will to survive. Every species has it. You just forgot how to use it. Outside, the storm began to weaken. The temperature stopped dropping. The worst was over, but they did not know that yet. So they prepared. They conserved energy. They stayed strong, and they waited for dawn. On the 6th day, something changed. Hana noticed it first when she checked the external sensors. The storm is weakening, she said. Electromagnetic interference down to 40%. Everyone gathered around her scanner. They had been trapped for 6 days, though it felt like months. Can we send a signal? Velthar asked. Jinwoo had been working on the emergency beacon during his watch shifts. Maybe. The beacon is repaired, but we need to get it outside and elevate it. The cave walls block too much signal. How far outside? Thoros asked. At least 50 meters from the cave entrance. On high ground if possible. They all looked at each other. Going outside meant facing minus 130-degree cold. Even in environmental suits, it was dangerous. I will go, Jinwoo said simply. Not alone, Velthar said. I will come with you. Hana started to object, but Velthar raised his hand. I know I am not as resistant to cold as humans. But this is my crew. My responsibility. I will not sit safe while others take risks. Jinwoo nodded with respect. Then we go together. They prepared carefully. Hana checked their suit heaters twice. Thoros helped them carry the beacon to the cave entrance. Kryn, still in his hotbox, provided calculations for the best signal angles. Be careful, Hana said, her hand briefly touching Jinwoo's arm. Always am, he replied with a small smile. They stepped into the frozen darkness. The cold hit them hard, but the storm had weakened. The wind no longer screamed. The lightning had stopped. Above them, for the first time since the crash, they could see stars. Beautiful, Velthar whispered, his breath forming ice crystals. They carried the beacon up a ridge of ice. Every step was difficult. Every breath burned, but they kept going. At the top, Jinwoo set up the beacon and activated it. The device hummed to life, sending out distress signals in all standard frequencies. Now we wait, he said. They started back down toward the cave. Halfway there, Velthar slipped on the ice. He fell hard, his leg twisting under him. Captain. Jinwoo rushed over. My leg, Velthar hissed in pain. I cannot walk. Jinwoo did not hesitate. He pulled Velthar's arm over his shoulder and took his weight. Then I carry you. Like before. You cannot carry me all the way back. Watch me. Step by step, Jinwoo dragged Velthar across the ice. His muscles screamed. His lungs burned. The cold tried to steal his strength. But he thought of his grandmother's village. Never give up. Never stop. They reached the cave. Hana immediately began treating Velthar's leg. It was badly sprained but not broken. You should have left me, Velthar said. You could have frozen out there. I do not leave crew members behind, Jinwoo said firmly. Ever. 2 hours later, the beacon worked. A response signal came through. A rescue ship was on its way. Estimated arrival, 4 hours, everyone cheered. Even Kryn crawled out of his hotbox to celebrate. We survived, Thoros said in wonder. We actually survived. Because of humans, Kryn added. Without their knowledge, their skills, their determination, we would be ice sculptures on the frozen surface. The rescue ship arrived exactly on time. It was a large survey vessel with proper medical facilities. The captain, a tall avian species called Narth, entered the cave with his medical team. He stared at what the survivors had built. The metal walls, the insulation, the reactor core still humming with warmth. The hotbox for Kryn. You built all this from shuttle wreckage? He asked in amazement. The humans did, Velthar said. He was sitting with his leg elevated. Jinwoo and Hana, they saved us all. Captain Narth looked at the two humans with new respect. I need to hear this story. They told him everything while the medical team checked everyone over. How the aliens had wanted to stay in the shuttle. How the humans had worked alone at first. How they had dragged everyone to safety. How they had built heaters and hotboxes and water systems from broken parts. Remarkable, Narth said. We received your beacon only 3 hours ago. We came as fast as possible. If you had not survived this long, we would have found only bodies. But humans made sure that did not happen, Kryn said. They knew how to survive what should have killed us all. The medical team cleared everyone for transport. As they walked toward the rescue ship, Velthar stopped and looked back at the cave. What is it? Hana asked. I am memorizing this place. This cave where I learned humility. Where I learned that technology is not the only measure of worth. What will you do now? Jinwoo asked. I will tell everyone. The Galactic Council needs to know what humans are capable of. Not weapons or ships, but survival, adaptability, the ability to thrive in conditions that would kill most other species. Aboard the rescue ship, they were given warm food and comfortable beds. Jinwoo slept for 12 hours straight. When he woke, Hana was sitting beside his bed. The rescue captain wants to speak with us, she said. Apparently our survival has created quite a stir. In the captain's office, Narth showed them messages that had been pouring in. Your story has spread through the fleet. Humans building a heated shelter on a death world with just wreckage and knowledge. Everyone wants to know more. It was not that special, Jinwoo said uncomfortably. We just did what we had to do. That is exactly what makes it special, Narth said. Most species would have given up, would have accepted death. But you fought. You improvised. You saved not just yourselves but others who were not even your species. A week later, they arrived at the nearest station. News crews waited. Officials from the Galactic Council wanted reports. But most interesting was an offer from something called the Frontier Survival Corps. We teach survival skills to explorers and colonists, the recruiter explained. She was a crystalline being named Quess. We want to offer you both positions. Teaching others what you know. Jinwoo and Hana exchanged glances. Teaching survival? Hana asked. Yes. Most galactic species have forgotten how to survive without technology. They explore dangerous worlds but do not know what to do when systems fail. You can teach them. You can save lives. We accept, they said together. 6 months later, Jinwoo stood in front of a class of 30 students from 20 different species. Behind him, Hana was setting up equipment for a cold weather survival demonstration. Today we learn about heat management, Jinwoo began, not using technology but using understanding. Understanding of physics, of nature, of how the universe works. In the back of the class, Velthar, Thoros, and Kryn sat watching. They had become assistants in the program, teaching what they had learned. Humans are strange, Velthar had told others. They come from a world that constantly tries to kill them. But instead of making them cruel, it made them resilient. It made them helpers. They survive and then they teach others to survive too. The story of Creo 7 spread through the galaxy. It became required reading at the Explorer Academy. Documentaries were made. Papers were written, but the real impact was quieter, more personal. Every explorer who learned to build a fire without tools, every colonist who learned to purify water without filters, every crew member who learned to improvise shelter from wreckage, they all owed something to two humans who refused to give up in a frozen hell. In a small office on the Frontier Corps station, Jinwoo kept a piece of ice in a stasis box. It was from Creo 7 from the cave that had sheltered them. Why keep it? Hana asked once. To remember, he said. To remember that no matter how far we go into space, no matter how advanced we become, we are still human. We still survive. We still adapt. We still help others. And we never give up, Hana added. Never, Jinwoo agreed. On Creo 7, the cave still stood. The reactor core had been removed, but the metal walls remained. Ice had claimed it again, freezing everything solid. But inside that frozen structure, alien archaeologists found something interesting carved into the wall. It had been done hurriedly, probably during the long nights while others slept. It was written in Korean, in English, in Valkyrian, in Krillian, and in Gorvan script. The same message in 5 languages. We survived, together. Below it, 2 human handprints pressed into metal. Beside them, 3 alien handprints of different shapes and sizes. The archaeologists preserved this carefully. It became a monument, a reminder. When other species argued about whether humans belonged in the galactic community, whether they were too primitive or too aggressive, people pointed to Creo 7. They pointed to the cave where humans had built a heated shelter while aliens froze, where humans had saved lives with nothing but knowledge and determination, where 5 beings from different worlds had become family. That is what humans are. Belthar would say in his speeches to the council. Not primitive, not savage, but survivors, adapters, teachers. And when the universe tries to kill you, those are exactly the friends you want beside you. In classrooms across the galaxy, young beings of hundreds of species learned the story. They learned that technology was important, but knowledge was essential. They learned that advancement was not just about bigger ships or stronger weapons. Sometimes advancement meant knowing how to build a fire, how to conserve heat, how to improvise solutions, how to never give up. The humans had taught the galaxy an old lesson that many had forgotten. Nature does not care about your technology. The universe does not respect your civilization. When conditions turn deadly, only one thing matters: the will to survive and the knowledge to make it happen. And in that ancient struggle against cold and death,